How's it all looking? Good feeling?
Yeah, look, I guess for us it's not, on paper, there's probably not a huge amount to lose for us, is there? They're expected to win, so we're just looking forward to going out there and ripping into it. We didn't feel we probably gave our best performance at their place recently in the league, but on the flip side, that was because they put us under so much pressure and they're very good at what they do.
Yeah, I was there that day, and the first half you seemed to be in a real battle with them, didn't you? At half time it was very tense, but they just pulled away second half.
Yeah, even there, the first 20 minutes, I just felt we didn't get into the game, and they didn't let us get in the game, and I thought we gave them a little bit too much respect and time on the ball. So it's just that balance of that they're a very tough team to chase a game against, because they're very good with their defence, and almost the more you play against them, the more you're playing into their hands. So there's the balance there of, I guess, us trying to assert ourselves on the game, but also not giving them opportunities like we did to get on the front foot. And when they got on the front foot, they got so many powerful runners. They're a very tough team to stop.
Do you have a plan B or a plan C that you can surprise them with?
Yeah, look, we've got some plays up our sleeve. We've got a few areas where we think we can have success against them. We know that a couple of those areas will definitely work. Whether we can execute on the day, that's a complete other matter. And also, I think one of the things they do incredibly well is they're able to execute in the moment at speed, and probably compared to any other side in our division, they close your thinking space down by so quickly. So you have to be able to make the choices at the line, and that's something that obviously, if you look at their spine of the side, Jamie George at hooker, Mara in the second row, Billy at 8, Owen at 10, probably Elliot at 13 and Good at 15. They've got an incredible spine of their side that are able to make those decisions in the moment. It was really interesting actually to watch Owen Farrell up close and how good he is at almost just controlling everything that goes on, and you probably don't appreciate it as much watching it on TV.
Obviously, this is a game that everyone assumes that Saracens will win. You've beaten them twice pre-season. You will bring a certain amount of confidence to it. But do you recognise that you have a mountain to climb, or do you think that if you get it right, there's no reason it should be as one-sided as maybe people might expect?
Yeah, look, we have to be perfect. We know that. I think we're in a very good place as a club and as a team we very much believe in our own ability, and over the last 3 to 4 years we've always made steps forward, and I think we're continuing to do that. We're under no illusions. I think if you look at the Lions players, I think out of every team in the British and Irish Lions selection, they've got the most amount of numbers. We're not under any illusion. We're up against, in my opinion, a top 4 team in Europe, potentially higher than that. So it's not a normal, what you would call championship playoff or championship year, in that you've got a team like Saracens in our league. So that's probably made it more difficult. Whether that means there's maybe less pressure on us, I'm not so sure. I think internally we put our own pressure on ourselves. We know where we want to go as a club, and we've been building towards that for the last couple of years, and we'll continue to keep building towards that until we get there.
Saracens say that you had choice and you chose to play at home first. Is that correct?
Yeah, to be fair, before we got to the final round of games, both teams sort of got together. I mean, we have a really good relationship actually with Saracens, and I actually think they've been really good as an addition to the championship this year. They've been really open. I think they've embraced what they've done, and as I say, we've had a long-standing relationship there anyway in the past. But both teams sort of got together, and before that final round happened, we both sort of wrote down what would be our preference, and ours was to play at home first. Theirs was to play away first. So I don't know whether in the end that impacted probably what the RFU did with the Hartbury result when they cancelled that game, but we were quite keen to play at home first. I think from our perspective, it's probably going to be mainly Ealing supporters here, so to get that energy and to build into the tie, I think it's quite important for us as probably the underdogs.
Very last question from me, I promise. Do you look at this game as being a one-off opportunity to get into the Premiership. Is your concern that the trapdoor is going to be shut and it's going to become a ring-fence league soon, and this might be your only opportunity?
No, I like to think everything we're hearing is that, I think especially with what happened with the European Super League in football, I think promotion relegation is really important in this country, and I think that's what makes I think this country so great in terms of how competitive the leagues are. I look at some of the results at the moment, probably in the Premiership and probably in the Championship this year with no relegation as well, and some of the games are almost you're not even looking at the results because it doesn't really matter. And I think no one wants to get to that stage. And even if we were a Premiership side, I'd still be an advocate for promotion relegation. I think it's really important. I think there's ways of doing it to protect those teams at the top, that you're not replacing a team that is better than a team coming up, and whether that's playoffs and other things. But I certainly don't think this is, or I hope not, it's a one-off. And I think there's a lot of stuff around the promotion relegation, a lot of misconceptions as to that it should become ring fence because there's no team that has the ability to go up. I think if you look at the funding and the way that that's spread out, there's a reason why no team can go up, because the funding is so distorted and so uneven. You look at I follow football quite a lot, so you look at the Championship in football and the teams that come up from the Championship sometimes almost get more money in the Premiership. Same in France, the team that gets promoted gets that opportunity. So I'm not saying we've got it wrong or we've got it right here. I just think there's reasons why maybe a Cornish Pirates or a Doncaster haven't made that step up, or a Yorkshire haven't made that step up when they've got the chance. So I like to think that it's going to be open for a long, long time, and we want to get there as soon as possible.
Thanks, Ben. See you Sunday.
Cheers, mate.
Hey, Ben. Sorry, is it all right if I jump in?
Yeah, jump in. I'm open to anything.
So we saw with Saracens lost to Pirates in the opening game, and through various conversations with players in the Championship, as well as the guys at Saracens, the suggestion is that the disparity among the forward packs isn't as great between the haves and have-nots in English rugby, but it's in the back line where real gulf exists. I mean, would you go along with that in your experience playing them and in the Championship?
Good question. I'm not so sure. I think, again, any team needs to lay the foundation, so the set piece is so important. What I think you find in the Championship is it's a great breeding ground for young forwards in particular, where they can learn their trade. You look maybe at, if you look at Premiership academies and you look in particular at maybe props, that if they're not scrummaging week in, week out, and I don't think the A-League's of the right standard because it's not as competitive, and also you've got different players coming in each week. But for props to go into the Championship in particular, I think they really develop very fast. It's no different probably to 9s and 10s, that if they're not hookers as well, if they're not in those positions where they're thrown into a line out, if they're making decisions, they're not developing as fast. I think where you probably notice it is the speed of thought of the backs, and when they do get on the front foot, they're able to make something happen that little bit quicker. But you can't take away that only happens from the forwards, and I think we've had to build our game around our pack over the last couple of years. That they're the team that those guys get you on the front foot, and the backs are there to then make really good decisions on the back of it. Owen, as someone's going in to carry, he'll be talking about their ball press before they've even put the ball down, and he's a complete conductor to what they do. And you can see why he's so highly regarded in English rugby and around the world.
When we spoke, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, you said that in the defeat to Saracens, you probably gave them too much respect, and you conceded that maybe some of the players were a bit overawed by the occasion. I wonder how you maintain that balancing act of still respecting the team in the occasion, but as I said, not being overawed by both and going in with the belief that you can win it. I mean, how have you conveyed that message to the players in the lead-up?
Yeah, good point. First and foremost, you can't give the players of, again, Elliot Daly, Good, Farrell, Tompkins, the time on the ball that we probably gave them in the first game. They're too good of players that they can make decisions in the moment, let alone when you give them 3 or 4 seconds on the ball. So we can't afford to be giving them as much time on the ball. We've got to close down that thinking time, and that'll be really important. And they did that really well to us in that game. But for us, it was more looking at that game and actually saying, well, hold on a minute, we've missed a lot of chances here, and this is what they're going to bring. We know they're going to be good. We know they're going to have a few other things that they are going to bring to the table. But actually, in the big moments, they did better than us. So we focused a lot on what we're going to do in the big moments and what we're going to do to probably counter some of the things that they're going to bring and make sure that we feel confident that we're able to do that.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Hi Ben, if I could just jump in there.
Yeah, of course.
Cheers. Just almost irrespective of how the results go over the next 2 games, do you see it as an opportunity to show to people that there is a viable club outside that top 13, as you were discussing earlier on, that basically if there were an attempt at ring fencing, then it really would be shutting out a real sort of tap of talent that could keep coming through?
Yeah, look, I think, as I say, we've only been fully professional now. This is our 7th season, so we've grown an awful lot in that period. We know we've got an awful lot to grow in many areas as well, but I think it's really important that there is that opportunity for a team, not just in the Championship, but even lower down, that in 10 years' time they can come and push on up. I think chat of having a period where no one can go up, I think completely defeats that object, because the rich will get richer and that gap will grow. There'll be no reason for people to invest in a team when they can't reach that land where there is that funding. So, and this is only my opinion, but I don't believe in that. I do believe in this country. When France has got 3 professional leagues, and you look at their national team now, South Africa do it a different way, where they let their players go abroad, so the young players come through. I look at this country, and we've got so many players that play rugby. Well, there's no reason, and I think it's criminal that we don't have 2 fully professional leagues. Now, whether that's 24 sides, 22, 20, I'd prefer to see better quality, but again, a really good map around the country where people have the opportunity to, I guess, put their best foot forward, but be full-time. If you look at the Championship now, it's probably a mix of part-time sides and full-time sides, and I think it's in a dangerous position of where that can go. But I certainly think ourselves, we're very keen to make that step up. I know Doncaster are pushing hard this year. Cornish Pirates have obviously got their stadium that they're looking to build. You've got teams like Jersey that have been developing over the years as well. But even now, the up-and-coming sides that are coming through, that yes, there's a team like Ampthill that maybe currently don't have all those facilities of some of those Premiership sides. But if you look at where they were 5 years ago to where they are now, they've also come an awful long way. So where are they going to be in 5-10 years' time as well? So I think it's important that it's open. I think, again, the reasons for closing it off, and this, again, probably the way rugby's run in this country doesn't really help that, because you've got in the Premiership, clubs making decisions and voting in the same way that in the Championship you have clubs with different agendas voting on things, us included. So who is at the top of the game actually showing the vision of this is where we want to be as a country?
Can you just give us a feel for what you think Saracens' presence in the this season, because it was a shortened season obviously, but what you think their presence has done for the Championship? Has it sort of helped the likes of yourselves to sort of set a new benchmark?
I don't know really. It's you could argue that, like I say, they're a top 4 team in Europe, so maybe it's made it harder to get out of the division with them being there. I think, but what they have done is they've really embraced the Championship. I think they've brought a spotlight to the Championship, which is good. I also like the fact that when there have been discussions going on about what should happen, even the future of the Championship, they've been involved in that. They've not shirked it. They've given their opinion of where they think that 2nd division should be, even if they're only in it for a year or 2 years. They've not hidden away from voicing an opinion and giving advice to the different sides. And I think they've also been very good when they've travelled around the country and they've had teams to their place that, as I say, they have embraced the league, whereas it's been very easy for them to just cocoon themselves away.
And just going back. Sorry, go ahead.
Is that right? Sorry. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Phil.
A couple of things. Firstly, just in regards to Saracens, Mark McCall yesterday very complimentary about Ealing Trailfinders and sees the club as a real Premiership club potentially in the future. He's taking this challenge, and Saracens, as you'd expect, taking it very, very seriously indeed. I mean, he's obviously studied what you've got, and he's right, isn't he? I mean, that's, as you say, that's what you want.
Yeah, look, we want to. We were delighted to beat them twice earlier in the season, but it was a time when some of their internationals, or British Lions in particular, weren't playing. So that was still a team with 6 or 7 internationals. To play them fully loaded, as I say, for us is a huge honour. It's who we want to test ourselves against. It's where we want to be. I think we do incredibly well to get what we get out of our squad. I think they work incredibly hard for each other, and I think our foundations are laid around that work rate and that work ethic. Come Sunday, we've got to be absolutely bang on with our top 2 inches of making decisions at the right time, and we cannot have any blips and switching off because they are so good. But yeah, no, for us, it's, to put it into context, our salaries are less than a third of the salary cap. So I feel there's an awful lot of growth for us as a side, that if we were to go up and have even funding of what we could do with our side, and how we could compete at that level. And that's always been the challenge at the moment of non-shareholders going up, and the way that the shares and the funding's done based on shareholdings. If you're not a shareholder, it's pretty much you're on a hiding to nothing.
And I know that obviously there's been fear expressed in the past about sort of promotion and the relegation, and one of the examples cited was a club fairly close down the road in the shape of London Welsh, what eventually happened there. But the counter to that is, of course, Exeter, who are a standard bearer for creating a culture, creating a club, having a plan, moving forward. And is that's as a group there at Trailfinders, that's where you see yourselves at?
Yeah, look, it's I think for us, looking at Exeter and Bristol, 2 teams that were fighting out for the Championship 10 years ago, to see them now fighting it out for European titles, top of the Premiership, that's certainly a path of another example of what a team can do with the right investment, and doing that wisely and being given that opportunity to grow. So I know Bristol had a few years where they were stuck in the Championship, but that probably helped them grow to where they are now. And that first year in the Championship for Pat Lam probably taught him an awful lot about his side for when they then moved to the Premiership. But I certainly think, as I say, we look at a few of these sides and what they've done, and yes, we would love to emulate them. We know we've got a long way to go. I look at London Welsh, and it was a slightly different scenario, or hopefully a very different scenario. As I say, we're making sure we invest heavily in what we do off the field. Currently behind me there's a £4.2 million indoor training centre being built. Our relationship with Brunel is going from strength to strength, and again facilities are being built there as well as the continuous build around our ground as well. So it will never just be for us a case of investing and putting that on the pitch, and then once that goes, we have nothing else to fall back on. It's our 150th year as a rugby club, only our 7th year being fully professional, but we want to keep growing off the field just as much as on it.
Just in regards to the game, it's going to be hot. And obviously, artificial surfaces are even hotter than others. We know that, although both teams will know about that. The benches are always very important, the players, whatever title you want to give them. Is there just an even greater impact in these circumstances where the conditions can be really draining, especially on that pack?
Yeah, certainly when we played them at their place, as I say, because we gave them so much time on the ball and they were getting quick ball, by the last 20 minutes of the game, it'd taken an awful lot out of us, and I know we're an extremely fit side and we can cope with that, and we coped with it, albeit we lost and lost quite comfortably, but we can cope with the conditions. We love the fast pitch, but as I say, they are relentless, and if you let them get on the front foot, having to tackle people like Mako, Billy, Itoje, when they're coming around the corner, one after another, Jackson Ray, eventually it'll take its toll, and that effectively is what we've done to other Championship sides ourselves. Last 20 minutes, last 30 minutes, we've pulled away. It's important that as I say, we start well. We don't start having to chase the game, because that becomes, anybody that chases the game against Saracens, you are in a lot of trouble.
Just finally for me, I mean, obviously your players look forward to taking on some of those names that you mentioned, international players, British and Irish Lions players. What about you? Do you love the challenge? You've enjoyed the challenge of taking on, a man who's led his team to European and domestic doubles?
Yeah, look, from myself, this is, I think, my 18th, 19th year at the club now. So I'm extremely proud to, or fortunate to be taking the field at the weekend and putting a side out there. We've had a very close relationship with Sarries over the year. I get on very well with Nick Kennedy. Mark McCall, when we've gone down there for training sessions, has been really good. He's always good to pick his brains about a couple of things. Before that, Sanderson was always really welcoming, and they've certainly been one of the most welcoming sides that we've ever engaged with. So again, yeah, huge honour, a huge challenge. I enjoy the tactical side of the game to see where, I guess, with them and all their players, how can we break them down from an attack point of view? How can we stop them doing what they're doing? And assert our authority on the game. And I like to think that we're a well-drilled side. Our players know what they need to do. They know what they have to do in the right moments. As I say, a lot of it will come down to, can we execute at the speed, in the heat? And also probably something slightly different that we're not used to so much this year is having a crowd there. How does that affect the game? We can't get caught up in that. It's been really easy this year to keep a focus because there hasn't been that noise there. But if a decision goes against us and the crowd gets the crowd goes up in the air, how do we regather that focus? And Sarries are one of the best teams at doing that.
Brilliant. Best of luck. See you Sunday, Ben.
Cheers, mate.
Ben, sorry, just one last question. You mentioned the importance of closing down Saracens' thinking time, and you've also name-checked Owen Farrell a couple of times earlier in the conversation. He comes in for a fair bit of stick, despite the fact he's England captain and a British and Irish starting Lion. How highly do you regard him, and how central to you being successful on Sunday and across the two legs is your ability to somehow cage him?
Yeah, look, I think he gets some stick for the wrong reasons. I think if you look at even the Lions, how highly they regard him. When he first came into the Lions, scored a couple of fair few years ago now, but even then as a young player, you look at his dad, how competitive he is. I think he's got an incredible brain. We were fortunate enough to I got to take our team down to England at Pennyhill to train against England. And throughout the session, his commentary, he's almost like a coach. He's just co-commentating on what goes on. And at the end of it, it wasn't the coaches staying out coaching the players. He was there one-on-one with players, 2-on-1, going through the plays, how he wants them to run it, what the little things that he looks out for. I think he's an incredible leader for them. I'm really looking forward to seeing the battle between him and Craig Willis at the weekend, because Craig, I think, is a really good player and has got so many good attributes. And I think Craig can learn an awful lot of someone like Owen as well, but also assert himself on the game because he can bring some different characteristics. But as I say, Owen, again, we're quite lucky that we had Richard Wigglesworth coaching us for a couple of years down here with me, and he, again, how highly he spoke of Owen Farrell as to what he brings to the table. And yes, he's extremely important, but he's that good a player, and they've got that many good players that if you start concentrating on him, and I've watched a few other games where teams like to hit him late and other things like that, but you're just taking defenders out of the game. So it's the balance of, yes, we need to close down his thinking time, but we have to do that as a team and as part of a team strategy, not just can we spook him and can we make him make decisions early. But yeah, he's one of the best players in the world. He's incredibly important to what they do, but he would be to any team.